And same as with linear equations, we're also going to learn how to solve nonlinear systems of equations using graphs. So we need to pick one of our two equations. Let's pick the first equation and let's graph it. So let's get rid of the other equation for the moment. It's just temporarily. And well, let's solve. Let's graph this. We learned how to graph this on the previous video. First, we pick one of the two variables, in this case the y, and we set it equal to 0. So we just don't consider it. We eliminate it for the moment, just for the moment, leaving us with just negative x equals 5. So the x is not fully isolated because the x has that negative, so we need to get rid of the negative. And in order to get rid of the negative, we either divide or multiply by negative 1. So let's multiply times negative 1. That way the negatives cancel. But if we do it on one side, we also have to do it on the other side. So we get 5 times negative 1, and 5 times negative 1 is just negative 5. So x equals negative 5. This is x. That means we're going to look for a value on the x-axis. Each of these squares represents 2, so let's count. Negative 5 means we're going towards the left. So negative 2, negative 4, negative 6. We went too much, so let's go back 1, negative 5. And we place our point there at x equals negative 5. Now let's clean this up, and we take the turn of the negative x. So we already did the y equal to 0. Now the negative x equals 0. So let's get rid of it, and that just leaves us with y equals 5. We don't have to solve for anything. That's it. The y is isolated, so y equals 5. And this is a y, so we look at the y-axis. We're looking for 5 on the y-axis. 5 is positive, meaning we count upwards. So 2, 4, 6, too much, 5. And we put our point there. Now that we have the 2 points, we just make a straight line going towards the 2 points, going through the 2 points. This is the graph of the first equation, y minus x equals 5. Now let's bring the second equation, y minus x squared equals 3. And because of the x squared, there's a different way of graphing it. So let's start by first isolating the y. So that means we need to do the inverse operation of a negative x squared, and the inverse operation of a negative is always a positive, so positive x squared. That way they cancel, but if we do it on one side, we always have to do it on the other side. Then 3 plus x squared, we can't really combine them, so that's just 3 plus x squared, or x squared plus 3. And remember, in addition, the order of the factors doesn't change the answer. Now, y equals x squared plus 3. This is a quadratic equation. Quadratic equations, we have a full unit in Unit 7 talking about quadratic equations, but we actually learned how to graph these quadratics in lesson 5.2, so feel free to review lesson 5.2. So quadratics, because of the quadratic, x squared is a parabola, it's a u looking upwards, and because of the plus 3, we need to move that parabola 3 units up. Remember, we will get deeper into this in the next unit, and also you can review lesson 5.2 for a little bit of refreshing of this topic. And that's it. This is the graph of y equals x squared plus 3. Now that we have our graph, well, let's clean this up and let's bring our other equations. So we have our system of equation again, because once you have the two graphs, we have all the information we need to find the solution, because the solution is always going to be the intersection points of the graphs. In this case, we have 2 intersection points, 1 right here and 2 right here. That means 2 solutions. And as we said, when there are quadratic, most of the times we're going to get 2 solutions. So how do we know what are the solutions? We just need to look for the x and y coordinate of each of these points. Let's start with the left point. That's an x coordinate of -1 and the y coordinate of +4. So this is one of our solutions, x equals -1 and y equals 4. And the other point, the x coordinate is 2 and the y coordinate is 7. So this is our second solution. So our two solution sets for this problem are x equals -1 and y equals 4, and x equals 2 and y equals 7.